Hey YouTube, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a SHOT Show video. We are going to talk about the knives of SHOT Show, the knives that I'm most excited about, the knives that I'm most interested in, the things I was disappointed in as well. So I want to get into that in 1 second here, but before I do, I've got to give some shout outs because some of you guys were awesome giving all the rest of us who can't travel to SHOT Show the ability to, get as close as we could. First off, Knife News, thank you so much for the way you covered that with this sort of extra little window where we could see those constant updates. That was really, really good and really appreciated. Of course, Blade HQ always does a great job at SHOT Show, and this year is no exception. Blade HQ videos from SHOT Show, one, they covered tons of different companies. They covered all kinds of interesting stuff. And so I really, really appreciate that. I especially appreciate that they covered maybe some companies that us knife guys don't always think about. So, they covered tops, they covered case knives, a few other things like that were pretty cool and very appreciated. Of course, love them knives, buddy. You did a great job. I saw some cool booth videos. Really appreciate that you were able to be there, and especially loved the coverage of the steel wheel booth. And in fact, one of the steel wheel knives will be in this video. So a bunch of shout outs there. There's one I'm leaving out and I can't think of it right now. Oh, the Late Boy Scout. Sorry about that. The Late Boy Scout as well. So let's go ahead and get started. And the thing that I want to say, guys, is that there are two knives to me that are the standouts of SHOT Show. All right. I'd love to hear you guess down below. Before you go any further, take a second and try to guess. For those of you who really love my channel, who watch it all the time, maybe you've been following me on Instagram or at the Facebook page or wherever, and you maybe have some insights here. But what do you think are my two, the two standouts for me? And honestly, if in 2018 there's only two knives I'm able to get my hands on for review, if I get these two, I'll be happy. And they are, number one, the Zero Tolerance 0393. All right. 0393 I'm interested in because the 0392 is so awesome, and so a production version of that, or I guess a more widely available production version of that, is pretty exciting. Also, I think it's going to be cool what we're able to do with them. So there'll be different hardware and clips and scales and stuff like that we can add to these that I think will be pretty fun and make for some personalization. The other one is the Spyderco Amalgam. Great size, great design. I love the nested liners. I love the compression lock. I love the blade shape. Everything about this knife is right in my wheelhouse. And so, yeah, the Spyderco Amalgam is really, really exciting to me. So now that we've kind of gotten that out of the way, I'm going to quickly point out there's a couple of companies here. Of course, CRKT, I think their standout design of this year is going to be the Caligo. Great little knife. Really, really nice looking knife. Of course, the steel is disappointing, but that's kind of it to be expected from CRKT. The 13C20 or the 8CR 13 MOV is what we'd expect from them. The other knife I've got to say is the Benchmade Grizzly Ridge. This is a really nice design from Benchmade, really well done. The blade shape is great, the handle is comfortable. It's a little small for my liking, but I was really happy to be able to get a hold of it and check it out. And so, yeah, both of these guys. Now, it's not usual for me to only be interested in one knife from Benchmade, but I don't know, maybe it is, because the last couple of years I've really, I loved the Freak and the Boost last year, so only one knife this year. So now that we've gotten those out of the way, let's start talking about some of the other things that I'm really interested in checking out. Do I have a Kershaw here with me? I don't have any Kershaw knives. No, I don't. All right, I was planning to bring in a knife from my collection for most of these companies, but I won't be able to do it all the way along. Anyway, I don't have a Kershaw knife, but there are two Kershaws, regular Kershaws, that I'm pretty interested in. And they are the Bare Knuckle. Okay, Bare Knuckle is an American-made Kershaw. It's sort of a variant of the Natrix. It's a little bigger, and I really like the look of it. Subframe lock. I like the blade shape. Pretty excited about the Bare Knuckle. And the other one, to no one's surprise, is the extra large Kershaw Natrix. The original Natrix, I never did get one. They're just a little too small for me, and I did hear some, some quality control issues on there. People seem to be, some people would say how much they loved it, and then the next person would say, mine's got this problem or that problem. So that level of inconsistency is a little troubling to me. But the XL Natrix I do plan to pick up, and we'll just have to take a chance on it and hope that it's a good one. Now, The other thing I want to talk about here for a second, when we're talking about Kershaw, under the ZT banner, we've got the 0462. Now the 609 is not interesting to me at all. The 0462 is mildly interesting, but what I really want to ask is this, guys. I've got it from some pretty reliable sources that this is not all that we're going to see from ZT this year. So, I want to make a prediction here, and then I'd love to hear your guys' suggestions down below. Don't ask me why that was so hard to say. I'm going to suspect this, guys. I think from Zero Tolerance, maybe at Blade Show, maybe later on, maybe they're going to follow more of the Benchmade model where, you know, Benchmade introduced a couple of knives through the year last year, and maybe they'll kind of do the same thing. I would expect something in the smaller size, something in the 0450 size category. They always have something like that in their lineup, and since it's conspicuously absent, I would expect to see something in that size range. I would expect to see something cheaper. Gone are the 0200 and the 0909, both fantastic knives. But again, normally they have something in that slot in their sort of lineup, and so I would expect to see something to replace that. And then I expect to see a different maker. All right, we've had Hinderer, we've had Sinkovich, we've had Les George, we've had Rexford. Okay, what's going to be next? Okay, and I just feel like this year is going to be a year for a different designer. Now, I'd like to see something else from Les George, but I feel like that's kind of run its course, and it produced some great knives. The 0920 is amazing. The 0909 is fantastic. And all those other designers have got great knives as well. I just suspect that we'll see something different. All right, so that's my prediction about ZT. I'd love to hear yours down in the comments below. Next up, let's go back to Spyderco. We talked about the amalgam, but what we didn't talk about were two other knives that are pretty exciting. The one is the Pison, or the Pison, I think is how Eric Glesser pronounced it. That is sort of the updated version. It's still a Peter Rosenti design, and it's you know, sort of the new high-end Spyderco. I think it fixes a lot of the problems that the Nirvana had. The blade grind looks much nicer. It's got a lock bar insert, which I think is a big win, and so I'm really excited about the Pison, or Pison, however you're supposed to say that. So that's one that I'm actually, I don't know, it's expensive, but if I can pull it off, I may try to get my hands on one of those because it looks a little more interesting. The other knife that's a little small for me, but is probably worth picking up for the benefit of the channel, is the Smock collaboration. That thing looks pretty cool. I love the design. I love the button actuated compression lock. That is a really cool option. I love the blade shape on that knife. So Spyderco's got some pretty exciting stuff. After being really disappointed in the catalog, it's nice to see that you know, they've totally redeemed themselves with their SHOT Show offerings. Next, let's talk about Brose blades. So if you watched the Blade HQ coverage of Brose blades, it was pretty interesting. We've got a bunch of overseas produced Brose blades. I hope the quality is there. I hope to at least get my hands on one or two of these. Not, you know, one, I do like the designs, and I'll tell you, the ones that I really want to get a hold of are the designs that I already like. So the large division and the T4, I do want to pick those up and at least give them a chance. See what the quality's like, see what the finishes are like. I am really curious about those, so I do want to check that out. The other things I'm interested in from Brose blades, definitely the Icon, which is a JT Schwartz collaboration, and the Hoback collaboration, the Hoback Quebec. Looks really interesting. So from Jason Brose, I'm pretty curious about that stuff, guys. I hope to pick up a couple of those, and hopefully that'll happen in the next not too distant future. Next, the thing that I want to talk about is case knives. Now, I'm not a guy that talks a lot about case knives, not at all, because they're normally traditionals, but Case has a collaboration with Southern Grind, which is called the CG01, and that's a pretty nice looking knife. It kind of reminds me of the 0801 from Zero Tolerance. Of course, it's a little bigger with a blade shape that I like a little better. So I want to get my hands on one of those. I don't know what the price point will be yet. In the past, frame locks from Southern Grind have been pretty steep. But we'll see. I do like the look of that. I love that short clip. I like the knife overall. So I really hope to get my hands on one of those and, of course, share it with you. The other thing, guys, just let you in on a little secret here. Although I don't like I don't like traditionals all that much, I would really like to get my hands on a case Wharncliffe with denim, blue denim micarta. I think they look really, really cool. So one of the larger ones. And I know there are a couple of different variants that can fall into that category. And so what I mean by that is I'd like one of the larger variants. Anyway, that's sort of an aside. Three more knives to talk about, and then we'll call it a day. The Steel Will Intrigue. I watched the Love Them Knives coverage of this knife a couple of times. I really, really like that. I love those blue standoffs. The gray and blue is the one that I want to pick up. I'll be curious. I only saw the budget version, and maybe can someone correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm misremembering this. I saw the budget version. Is there going to be a higher end version of that? If you saw that at SHOT Show or some indication of that at SHOT Show, please go ahead and comment down below. And then finally, two Kaisers that I think look pretty compelling. The Theta, which is an Elijah Isham collaboration, and the Matanzas, which is a collaboration with somebody I can't remember right now, but you'll be looking at a picture, and maybe I've included in the picture. I'll put in the annotations here who that's a collaboration with, but that looks like a pretty cool knife. Also, I guess honorable mention goes to that Kaiser slip joint. That's kind of an interesting slip joint. I'm not totally blown away by it or anything, but I will be interested to pick one up. So those are my picks for Blade Show, with the top two again being the 0393 and the Spyderco Amalgam. I'd love to hear what you guys were most interested in down below. And was there anybody that really kind of disappointed you, that you were really hoping to see more from and you didn't? I guess the biggest one for me has got to be Zero Tolerance, because there was nothing really new. There was nothing totally, outside of what we'd already seen from them. But that was alleviated. My initial reaction to Zero Tolerance's lineup was disappointment. That was alleviated, though, by the fact that I heard from a number of sources that that's not all that we're going to see from them. So there you go, guys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will talk to you soon.